RAZR Plus for 2023 is a disruptive phone. And it basically came in and killed an entire category of phones off for the last 3 years. And what makes me say that? Well, this guy right here. This is the Z Flip 4 with their paltry excuse for a front screen. And I said last year they really should have given us a better front screen experience. And they just wanted to sit back longer and longer and longer and riding out their lead, which has now been eroded. And now, number one in flip phones, I think globally, is right here, the RAZR Plus, or the RAZR 40 Ultra, as our friends would call it overseas. And we've seen a lot of different variations on this whole concept of the flip phone. Of course, the Z Flip, they've had their take, and then I've got my Oppo Find N2 Flip right here, which has the vertical stack screen, but largely, they all do the same thing. You can open up the camera, you can see your face in a little squish screen so you can take a selfie, and mostly it's meaningless. And then you have the RAZR Plus, which of course has this brilliant front screen that allows you to do whatever you want. You can tweet, you can play games, you can reply to text messages, you can use your GPS, and of course you can get all your notifications. There's some screen-like widgets and stuff on here. It's really nice, and it's been really refreshing. I've been a big fan of flip phones for a long time. I've had them ever since the original Z Flip, and I had concerns with the first one because of the durability, but two, also the prices were just so high. And then I caved in, I got one anyway, and I fell in love with it. And I used the Z Flip, and then I got the Z Flip 5G the day it came out, I got the Z Flip 3 the day it came out, I got the Z Flip 4 the day it came out, I even had the Motorola RAZR 5G, and I liked it a lot, although I didn't care for the fact that, the cameras weren't that good, the screen was kind of small, the battery life was not good, and, well, it had a Snapdragon 765 in it, which I thought was totally overpriced. So they basically went back to the drawing board with the RAZR Plus, and now we've got the Snapdragon 8 Plus Generation 1, which is a good chip. It's the same chip that's in the Z Flip 4, and it did really good job there. And it's even got 100 extra milliamps over the battery in the Z Flip 4. And if you want to talk about battery life, it gets all-day battery. You should be able to comfortably get through the day for most folks on this phone. And that's what we've needed. That's what was missing for a long time. And when it came to the flip phones, they had small batteries. I mean, you remember the Z Flip, the Z Flip, the 5G, the Z Flip 3. They had, like a 3,300 milliamp battery? It really wasn't a whole lot. Like, it was not enough to get through the day. They finally got the processor stuff under control. Thank goodness we never got one with the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1, because that battery life would have been like 2 hours. So I think they waited till the right time. One thing I do wish, though, I wish it had the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. If it did, then I think unequivocally, even when the Z Flip 5 gets here, I think that maybe this could still remain in the lead when it comes to flip phones around the world. And if you've been a Motorola fan for a long time and you've been disappointed by a lot of the experiences you've had with the phones, this ain't it. And the year of 2023 has been really good so far for Motorola, and they even made some pretty good stuff last year in 2022. I was really surprised by the Edge Plus 2022, still hoping to get my hands on one to test out for this year. But what's also nice, yes, MSRP on here is $999. They've actually already had some sales on it. So I think that Motorola has kind of paid attention to the atmosphere. They watched Samsung sit around and be lazy and just keep regurgitating the same stuff over and over, and said, okay, we got things kind of right with the RAZR 5G. Now let's get them really right and take the lead and make an industry-leading device. And they've done that. This is the first time. So normally when you take a look at categories of phones, you don't just see a phone come in and kind of sweep and change the landscape like that. And Motorola has done a really good job with that, and I give them a lot of praise for this. I haven't even been a big Motorola fan for the longest time, but I do appreciate what they did here. I'm glad they didn't bring over last year's edition. Like, they had the RAZR 2022. It only launched in China, and some people bought it and brought it over here. But by and large, they waited. They got things right, even though they had to sacrifice on the design. So now, instead of having like the little chin, it doesn't exactly look like the original RAZR, but in spirit, it's the RAZR. And in practicality, it's a next step for the RAZR. And I love this screen on the front. It's so much fun. And it helps you with the battery life. So if you were concerned about battery life, you just have to use the front screen a lot. That does help. But what's also nice is, of course, you can take your videos, you can do your selfies with it, you can do all sorts of great things. Of course, you get your weather, you get your widgets, you can have your apps, which of course you can add extra ones to the screen. I've even played Boom Beach on here, which kind of difficult to do. It's a little small on the cramped side, but it's funny to me with this screen on the front. It's that's as big as some of the screens used to be on phones. I'm not too far removed from when I used to play Boom Beach on my BlackBerry Q10, which had like a 3.1 inch screen. I think it had 3.1, but the Classic only had a 3.5 inch screen. So we're not too far removed, about a decade from when phone screens were just really small. So having all that on the front of here, it may not sound like it's all that big of a deal in 2023, but in reality, it is. And then once you open it up, it gets even better because you have this beautiful 6.9 inch OLED panel, 165 hertz, HDR10, the whole 9 yards, and it's really bright. And what's also nice is the crease. Let me turn the screen off here. The crease is not all that readily apparent. Like, it's very, very soft crease on it, and it's kind of spread out a little bit more, so it's not quite as sharp. It's not like hitting that sharp bump in the road. But one nice thing about the flip phones, as opposed to the fold phones, you don't really touch the middle of the screen all that much. So having a crease in the middle of the screen that's very, very soft and subtle like that, yes, it's still there. Yes, I get it. We're not going to get rid of these for quite some time. It's probably just about the best one yet on the phone. Of course, there's IPX water resistance, no dust resistance, and that's something I guess they're trying to move towards in the industry. We'll see if the Galaxy Z Flip 5 has it, but as of yet, we don't have these flip and fold phones with dust resistance. However, it does have water resistance, IPX8, which is good. That's as good as it gets out there. And one nice thing about this magenta, this Pantone model that I have that I got from T-Mobile, it has this vegan leather on the back, and well, it gives you extra texture to hold on to it because the phone can be kind of slippery. I still don't have a case or a screen protector. There's just nothing I found online that I'm like, I just want to put that on my phone for two reasons. One, they don't look that reputable. Two, it takes weeks to get here, actually. Like, there's nothing that's like you can order it, it'll be here the next day. And two, the phone's so nice, I don't really want to put one on there. If I put a phone case on here, it's going to make it all bulky. It's not going to be used the way it's intended to. It's going to be kind of gross looking. And there's just nothing I found that's overly that great that's really appealing. Now, as far as screen protectors, I did order one of those, and I've got it coming in. It's from a company called Skinomi. And there's also Super Shields. There's Armor Suit. There's a couple different brands. They make like those wet application TPU film style screen protectors. So I do have one of those coming, but it's not here yet. But that's just kind of the thing. There's not a whole lot of options out there, and I don't even want to put a glass screen protector on here because, of course, that'll take away from it. It won't look as nice, and the sensitivity, whenever it comes to glass screen protectors, it can kind of take away from that a little bit. But as far as using it on a day-to-day basis, I think it has pretty good speakers. Call quality is excellent. One thing that's nice is I like the fingerprint sensor built into the power button, and then whenever you have it closed, it's right there where your finger normally hits. So it's really, really convenient. One problem I have always with with the Z Flip is sometimes when you're moving it around, you don't always have it where intuitively your finger hits in the right spot. But with this one, it's like second nature. So that's also very nice. Now, build quality I think is good. Some people were saying that they thought that it was kind of rickety, or maybe it's not as secure or not as tight as far as tolerances and stuff, but I haven't experienced that, and it feels really good to me. I don't really have any problems here. So on a day-to-day basis, I don't recommend flicking it open as you see some people do in their videos. It's not, I mean, of course it can withstand it, but that's not really how it was tested in like the labs and stuff when they used science and tested out the flipping. So I don't do that. Also, I worry if I do flip it open, it's going to fly across the yard. It's going to hit the wall. I'm going to mess up my phone. I worry about how that will hold up with the hinges over the years and things like that. So yeah, I don't really do that. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. But of course you can flip it open if you want. Of course, once you get done with the phone, you can kind of slam it aggressively if you want to just really show them that you mean it when you hang the phone up. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Plus Generation 1, like I said. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is plenty. You can do everything you want on here. Android 13. And the software update that I have right now is for June. I'm still waiting for the July update. Motorola, I believe they typically do theirs bi-monthly. So right now I'm sitting here with the software update for, let me see, June? Actually, no, it's still on May. So we're waiting on the July one right now. Hopefully that gets here sometime in the near future. What could also be holding it up is the fact that I have mine with T-Mobile. Here's the thing with Motorola. The Achilles heel still for them is software. Now, I think the software is fine, and it has some really nice, thoughtful gestures. I like you can do the double chop motion, and it turns on the flashlight. So that's really nice, especially you pick it up in the middle of the night, you grab your phone, you need a flashlight. That's so nice. And then if you do the twisting motion, It turns on the cameras, which is especially nice when you have it on the front, so you can use the front screen without even having to open the phone. So there are some cool software implementations, but when it comes to actual support, they're still kind of like dead last when you take a look at Apple, Samsung, Google, and then you have Motorola bringing up the rear. So that's kind of the biggest thing when it comes to the operating system and software updates here. So we're in the market for 3 years of operating system updates. So they've actually updated that, and you get 4 years of security patches, and it is bi-monthly, so every other month. And I think that's okay. There's never really anything that's so important that you have to have a right on the spot monthly update. Maybe once every couple of years we have something crazy, but as long as they actually do that, and as long as they update the operating system in a timely manner, I think that's fine. I mean, 3 years of operating system updates, 4 years of security patches. Yes, it is a little bit behind some of the other guys, but they're trying. So I'll give them some credit there. We'll see how this actually pans out. But overall, as far as using the phone on a day-to-day basis, it's something that really just brings the fun back to phones. And not only does it bring the fun back, but you also have the practicality on top of the fun. Because for the longest time, like with our Z Flip, okay, cool, we can close it, we can put it in our purse, we can put it in our coat pocket, it's portable, it saves some space, and that's nice. And I love how nice and sleek this is. It's nice, thin, sleek, but the build quality is still there. You even get wireless charging. You get 5-watt wireless charging. You get up to 30 watts wired charging. So that's good. And of course, it doesn't take too terribly long since it's only a 3800 milliamp battery. But you do have that level of practicality now, and also battery savings, because before it was, okay, open the phone every time you want to use it. There's a lot of times in life where you just want to reply to a text message, right? Not that big of a deal. And of course, with Google, you get your smart replies and things like that. So now you can use the front screen for a lot of life's little conveniences or inconveniences, just to reply, answer something real quick, no big deal. And that's what's great about it, because if you did have battery concerns, this helps that. But then you also get all the advantages of being a half-size phone, but you don't have to sacrifice and have to continually open and close your phone. So that's where we needed to go with this. That was the next step, and Motorola took it. Now, of course, we do know that Samsung is right behind them in step, but Motorola got here first, and they're being pretty good as far as marketing and sales and having some good deals. Carriers are basically bending over backwards to make deals on these things for people. So I do applaud them for that. You have a nice flat hinge back here. It works well. I haven't had any issues with it. No real concerns. Bluetooth 5.3. And then you've got 256 gigabytes of storage, which I think is fine. I would have been worried if it was 128, but 256 is perfectly fine when you're talking about a phone of this magnitude. Now, it is UFS 3.1, which I wish it was 4, but really it's not that big of a deal. UFS 3.1 is the standard we've had for a long time. Works perfectly well. And then some other things I want to talk about. So you do have 1080p on the inside, you have 1080p on the outside, 165 hertz, which is great. But then you take a look at the cameras. And one thing that really surprised me this year, they bumped the cameras up to 4K 60. So the front camera and the selfie camera both record video at 4K 60, which is really cool. And on top of that, you have a 12 megapixel primary camera, 13 megapixel ultra wide, 32 megapixel selfie, and you can see these images that I've included. I think that they did a good job. I mean, it's not an iPhone 14 Pro, it's not an S23 Ultra, but it's really not trying to be. And I'm okay with that, because it takes perfectly good photos. It's very comparable to the Z Flip 4, except when it comes to Motorola, I think the color's a little bit better. It doesn't try to do that extra mile saturation that Samsung likes to do with their phones. So I'll give them credit for that. When it comes to these folding and flipping phones, it's still, I think we're a little bit behind where we should be, especially with the cost of them. But because of the folding, the flipping, how small they are, trying to get sensors and compact cameras, it's probably going to be a little while before we have award-winning cameras in these. But I think they are making some progress, and I think they did a pretty good job here. And it's got Gorilla Glass Victus, and if you have the one with the glass back, it's Gorilla Glass Victus on the back as well. But I have the leather one on mine, and I really do like it. I think that it's nice. I think it makes it easier to hold on to, and I think it makes it feel more premium, and I do have less concerns about putting a case on it, because you can set it down, and this is not something you really need to worry about all that much. You set it down on a table, coffee table, a desk, whatever, then you should be all right. You're not going to be having to worry about scratching it up like you would if you set it down on the glass side. So, kind of in recap, battery life, I think, is good for the phone. I think that the screen is nice and really nice looking. I like the 165 hertz refresh rate. That's something Motorola has been doing for a little while now, and it looks and it feels nice. It's a really smooth experience, and it makes it feel premium. You can actually tell a difference. Even though I use 120 hertz all the time on my other phones, the 165 hertz that I've enjoyed on this and even on the Motorola Think phone has been a really nice experience, and maybe we'll get there to the standard for everyone one day. But it also has 5G if you're concerned about that. It doesn't have millimeter wave, it does have C-band, and it does have the sub-6 5G. So there's a lot of great things going on here with this phone. Again, it's nice, it's fun, it's enjoyable. It brings the fun back to phones, but adds that layer of practicality that I think was missing for a lot of people with the more traditional Z Flip design that everybody else emulated and followed. And then Motorola stepped outside the box and they gave us something different. And I'm glad that they did, because I really enjoyed this phone. I've had my SIM card in it since I picked it up. Just for context, a lot of people don't realize this. I have 3 active SIM cards, and I'm carrying 2 to 3 phones on me at any given time. So the fact that even though I've been carrying this around, I've also been using the Google Pixel Fold, and I got myself another iPhone SE because I traded in my iPhone SE when I got this, but I got another one the other day. So those are the 3 phones I actually have SIM cards in right now. The Pixel Fold, the RAZR Plus, and then my iPhone SE, which I always love that phone. So that's all I've got in this video. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully this was entertaining, educational, gave you some information that you needed on it. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I think Motorola did a great job, and we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have the big flip war coming up here in just a couple of weeks, whenever the Z Flip 5 gets here, and truly we can compare both of them together. Yes, I get it. Some people are like, you can't compare it to the Z Flip 4. That's not fair. Well, yeah, you can, because that's what's available. And, well, it was 2 months before the Z Flip 5 gets here. But ultimately, we're going to compare it against the Z Flip 5, because that's going to be the standard bearer for Samsung this year. And then we can see truly which one is the best flip phone and how well Samsung did their homework, because Motorola came out with a bang, and they did a good job. Now we'll see what Samsung does. So that's all I got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, of course, please go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. Again, if you enjoyed the video, you found this helpful, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.